happy Friday, everybody, and to all the veterans out there, happy Veterans Day. Welcome to another episode of Travel Without a Cause. Got kind of a special one for you today. Got a couple different things we're going to do today. First of all, I am back at Veterans Memorial Cemetery here in my hometown, and I'm going to stop by and say hi to my buddy Jake and Joe. And I'm going to show you guys here in the same cemetery, there's a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, and I'll tell you more about what that means for those of you who aren't too schooled up on what the Medal of Honor really stands for and all that. But there's actually a recipient that's buried in the cemetery here in Lafayette, and I'm going to go introduce you guys to that one plot after I say hi to my buddies Joe and Jacob, and then I got something else I'm going to tell you guys about after that, so stay tuned and I hope you like it. Here we go. All right guys, well here we are again. If you've seen my 9/11 vlog I did back in September, you remember I came and stopped by and said hi to Joe and Jacob, and like I said, these are buddies of mine from high school. Joe I didn't know a whole lot. I knew him, we knew each other, we were acquaintances, but we weren't super close, you know, anything like that. But Jacob, the guy on the right here, he and I were close. We were pretty tight in high school, good friends. We met in middle school, all that stuff, and then he was killed in combat. They were both killed in combat. Joe on the left here, he was killed in action September 1st of 04, and Jacob here on the right, he was killed in action December 20th of 06. Both young guys, both in their 20s, everything, you know, the rest of their lives ahead of them, and they sacrificed their lives for the country, for the good of the country. And you can't overlook that. You can't deny that. No matter who you are, what your views are, those are the facts. There are Americans, and they sacrifice their lives to protect the country. You know, regardless of what your political views are, or why we're out there, and why we do things we do, and why we're sent out there. All that stuff aside, these guys still sacrifice it. So you have to respect that stuff, you know. But yeah, Joe, hey Jacob, just wanted to stop and say hi. We miss you guys, we love you guys. It's Veterans Day today, and we all miss you guys, and especially veterans like myself. We all understand what you sacrificed and what you went through, and we just hope to all see you guys again one day. So now, in the same cemetery, there's a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient that's from here. He went to school here at University of Louisiana, where I went to college, and he was shot down. He's an Air Force pilot. He was shot down in combat, and I'll tell you a little bit about it when we get to his grave over here. And yeah, such a nice day out though, man. It's so nice. And forgive me guys, the last couple of weeks have been the busy season for my side business, for my photo booth. It's just crazy. It's like this every year. So this time every year, hopefully in the next few years, however long I plan on doing this for a long time, but just in the future, I will try to front load a lot of videos for this time of year, because my photo booth business, we had 5 events one weekend, which is 2 weekends ago, my birthday weekend, and then we had 3 events last weekend, and then we have 2 this weekend. So it's just like, and it's not even over yet. We got all of November and all of December left, and it's gonna be crazy like that all the time. So if I do have a weaker, you know, there probably will be a few weeks from between now and the end of December where I might just post 1 video, and I know some of you might be spoiled with the 2 videos I post per week, and that's usually that's going to be the norm. And then one day, if I get to do this, maybe full time, pipe dream, but I'd be doing, you know, 3 to 4 at that time, so per week. So just bear with me. I hope you're enjoying everything I'm putting out there, and I'm trying to do quality over quantity, because it's so hard to not be able to do 2 a week. It bugs me. I've already gotten in that habit and all that. So thanks for the patience. Please send your feedback. Always looking for, you know, suggestions and all that stuff. So if you have any places you'd like me to see, let me know. Those of you who have reached out and said you'd like this or that, I am working on those, and you know who you are. And I always give people shout outs. If you recommend a place and I go see it, I'll give you a shout out. And once I get my Patreon going, I will, you know, once people join my Patreon and all that. Sorry, this plane's flying over. I don't want to be screaming at you guys. But then I'll be including things like physical things, sort of. My buddy Jordan the Lion, he does another travel blog. I say travel blog, but he has a YouTube channel, and I follow him a lot. He's a big part of my inspiration for this channel, and I love his channel, love watching him, and I got the idea from him. And like he does like his Patreon sunglasses, where somebody joins, as soon as they join, he will be like, you know, hey, thanks for becoming my newest Patreon, such and such or so and so, and like he'll have a pair of sunglasses that he wears or brings to that vlog, and he'll give that pair of sunglasses that were part of that vlog of that specific topic of the day, and he'll send them those sunglasses or whatever. So I want to do something like that. I don't want to copy him. I don't want to copy anybody's formula, but it'll be something kind of like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Planning to get that started around the time I get 100 subscribers. I'm about 70 right now, so pretty soon here, probably, hopefully not too long. So anyway, there's that. I'm just talking to you guys while I'm walking to the tomb, or the grave of the person I want to tell you about. So tell you all about, if I can speak clearly here. So here we go. Let me find it for you real quick, and then I'll be right back. And here we go. I found it. I was in the right vicinity, but I was too far left when I should have been right. I was bobbing when I should have been weaving. But anyway, guys, a little backstory for those of you who maybe younger guys, or anybody who's not maybe too schooled up on military honors and such. The Congressional Medal of Honor is the highest award you could possibly get in the United States, as in the military, as a soldier or sailor, whatever you are, airman. It is the highest award awarded in the military, period. There's nothing higher. In fact, you can be a private or a PFC or a E1, rank, and if you get a Medal of Honor, people have to salute that. You can be a colonel or a general, and if you walk by let's say a PFC or a Lance Corporal who has a Medal of Honor ribbon, you have to salute that. And it's that high of an honor. Most military recipients of the Medal of Honor typically aren't alive when they get it. Most of them are awarded posthumously. They usually die doing what you did to earn that. Some of them live and receive it while they're still alive. They live through it, but they still get awarded it. You see Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump gets the Medal of Honor, and he's still alive when he gets it. But that's all jokes aside, though. But that's a huge honor. And in this case, Captain Stephen Logan Bennett, he did not live. He got awarded his posthumously, and he's buried right here in my hometown. And to have a Medal of Honor recipient buried here in town it's a big deal. And for those of you who know about the Medal of Honor and how big of a deal it is, you know exactly how big of a deal it is to have somebody like that in your hometown. So the story is, Captain Bennett and his co-pilot, they were asked to assist the South Vietnamese, this is during the Vietnam War, to assist the South Vietnamese against, because South Vietnam, North Vietnam, they were fighting against each other, and we were protecting or helping out the South Vietnamese. So he was called out, he was a pilot, so he was called out to fly over and try to, chase away some of the North Vietnamese aircraft who were trying to invade or whatever. And so he did his job doing that. He did a good job of it. They flew in, they chased a bunch of the North Vietnamese aircraft off, and so everything was looking good, and you were going to go back, get called back in, say, hey, you did your job, go ahead and come back in. And he decided to make one more pass, one more flight through, like one more pass through the area or the zone. And so that would prove to be the last moments of his life. He was shot by a North Vietnamese aircraft, and the plane was going down. And they're over the Gulf of Tonkin at the time. And so I think that was, I don't want to lie to you guys, but I think it was the Gulf of Tonkin, I believe. And so his plane was going down. And so he did not want to eject. He didn't want to eject out of the plane because his co-pilot, he saw that his parachute was messed up. And he knew that if he ejected out of the plane, the co-pilot can't fly the plane because he's just a co-pilot, he's in the back. And so he would have been out of luck, you know. So Captain Bennett basically sacrificed himself, or, you know, sacrificed the whole situation basically, and the plane ended up landing on its back in the water. And so the sacrifice of it all was that Captain Bennett, or the co-pilot, the plane landed upside down on the water. He just kind of downed the plane in the water, upside down, which has got to be scary in itself. And then the co-pilot was able to get out. He escaped the plane and got out, but Captain Bennett's cockpit was so messed up just because from the whole ordeal, it couldn't be opened, and so he died there. And so he was awarded the United States Congressional Medal of Honor. Huge deal, huge award. And I, for one, being a veteran myself, am very honored to have a Medal of Honor recipient here in my hometown who went to UL Lafayette and went to college here and everything. And so just wanted to stop by. I figured Veterans Day was a great day for it. I wanted to come and show you guys this on the 9/11 blog I did, but I figured I intentionally waited for today to do this, to show you guys this grave. Even I know, like when I was in the Marine Corps, if there was a Medal of Honor recipient within like 300-400 miles, sometimes we'd make trips, like organized trips that you know, that they would organize, and you can go and meet Medal of Honor recipients. So these guys, you know, they're few and far between because most of them aren't alive when they receive it. But it's a big deal to meet and shake hands with and honor those guys while they're still living. So it's a really big deal to have a recipient here. Although he died in combat, he died to get that award. All respect due for sure. But, you know, just to have somebody like that here in town that I, even myself, I can stop by and honor a couple of times a year. That's a big deal to me. So, so thank you, Captain Bennett, for your sacrifice. It's Memorial Day. It's Veterans Day 2022, and we honor you, we salute you, and we pray that you rest in peace. So yeah, guys, hope you can appreciate that. I'm sure most of you do. Next, as part of this Veterans Day today, at the University of Louisiana here in town, that I always talk about where I went to college, there's a display that's ongoing for about 3 weeks, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. And it has to do with, I think it's called like Americans, or America and not the Nazis, or something like that. I'll read it when I get there. But it's a display that's like a traveling display, I think. And it has to do with America's, not necessarily the military so much, but America's, and I'm sure there's plenty of military focus of the display. I haven't been there yet, but I think the focus of it is just America's role, and also America's viewpoint and take on the whole Third Reich, Nazism and all that while it was going on. And I think, I don't want to speak for it because I haven't seen it yet. You guys are going to see it when I see it. So I think it has to do with like civilians, people back home in the homestead in America while that war was going on, and what their take on it, and what their thoughts on like why are we there and what's going on and all that stuff, and what, you know, all of that stuff. So I'm speaking very vague on it because I haven't been there. I just read the topic and I was like, ooh, that'd be maybe a good thing to go and check out. So we're on our way now. I'm walking back to my truck and leaving the cemetery now, and we'll go ahead and explore that together. So if you're into that kind of stuff, it might be a treat for us, and you're going to explore it at the same time I'm exploring it. So let's go see it together. And you know, if that's not really your thing, if the wars and the whole Nazi stuff isn't your thing, maybe you can learn something new and enjoy it anyway. So let's go check it out. Well, here we are back again on the beautiful University of Louisiana campus for like the third or fourth time in my vlog series. We've been here, a few times already now, And we're going to the library today, which I haven't showed you guys yet. And I have that excited feeling, you know, like when you haven't been somewhere in a long time, like a place that meant a lot to you, or a like place of significance, you know, in your life or something, and you haven't been there in a while. I kind of feel like that now, because I don't to be honest, I don't think I've been inside that library since I graduated college, and that was 10 years ago, in 2012. So I'm kind of excited to go back in there. The display is like right there in the middle of the library, and I called them already, and they said they're going to be open till 4:30, and it's only like 2:45 right now. So we should have plenty of time to walk around and see everything. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah, so here we are. It is kind of quiet in here, so I'm going to use my mic. But some cool displays here right when you walk in the library door. There's Cajun Field right there. That's obviously from a long time ago. Well, you guys wouldn't know that, but that picture is probably from the 70s or 80s. It's much more built up than that now. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. There's some more stuff over here. It's commemorating the homecoming stuff, since homecoming just happened. It just passed. And SLI, for those of you who don't know, stands for Southwestern Louisiana Institute, which is what it used to be called way back in the day. I think it was when it was established. Way back in the early 1900s. That's what it was called. And then it was called University of Southwestern Louisiana in the, man, now I'm getting confused. I should know this stuff, but I think the 60s or the 70s. 60s, I think, or 50s maybe. Yes, so it's called Americans and the Holocaust. So I was close. It says Holocaust history raises important questions about what the international community, including the United States, could have done to stop the rise of Nazism in Germany and its assault on Europe's Jews. By the time Nazi Germany forced the world into war, democratic civilization itself was at stake. The U.S. military fought for almost 4 years to defend democracy. More than 400,000 Americans died. American soldiers and civilians alike made enormous sacrifices to free Europe from Nazi oppression. It says, this exhibition examines the motives, pressures, and fears that shaped Americans' responses to Nazism, war, and genocide. In this picture here, it says, child refugees from Nazi Germany arrive in New York Harbor, 1939. And I'll try to keep this interesting, guys. I'm not going to dwell and take all kinds of time, but some of you might be into this stuff. I'm sure people that are into my channel and appreciate the things on my channel will probably like this type of stuff, because it's kind of along the same lines. Wow, check this out. I'll just kind of read as I'll read the things while I just kind of graze around for you guys. It says, popular American news magazines reported almost weekly on Hitler and Nazi Germany throughout the 30s, including stories detailing attacks on Jews. Some articles questioned whether Hitler would remain in power. Others claimed that his ambitions for Germany were truly dangerous, especially for the Jews living there. Yet American readers could not have imagined that this persecution would lead to Germany's mass murder of Jews and other civilians beginning in 1941. So here's some of those publications. It's interesting to hear that. Like, some of these publications were almost like modern American publications. You know, they say opposite things, contradicting things. There's Time Magazine, Newsweek, Cosmopolitan. Check that out. That's cool, huh? March of 1941, I guess. I saw Hitler. There's a journalist right there for NBC. It says anti-Semitism is the life and soul of Hitler's movement. The Nazis lose no opportunity to insult the Jews. That's what Dorothy Thompson, that journalist, said in 1932, and that's who that is right there. Crazy, huh? Just imagine being alive at that time. Such turmoil and stuff, you know, all this going on. Oh, here's the Olympics. This is cool. Fun fact, when I was in 5th grade, I drew a picture of, 5th grade, I drew a picture of Jesse Owens, and it was good enough to make the school paper, the middle school paper.
Hey, I'm proud of it. It was 5th grade. 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin. Eighteen African American athletes represented the United States, dominating the track and field events. Their victories abroad, however, did nothing to diminish racial discrimination and segregation at home. Ain't that the truth? Such a shame. We made such a statement out there in Berlin. You come back home and they're still treated like crap. Owens takes Olympics, and he shined out there too, man. He ran amok out there in Berlin. He made Hitler look like a fool, because Hitler was all about his superior race, thinking that they would just dominate the Olympics, and then here comes a black guy from America and just dominates. Oh, and here's a Jesse Owens quote. After I came home from the 1936 Olympics with my 4 medals, it became increasingly apparent that everyone was going to slap me on the back, want to shake my hand or have me up to their suite, but no one was going to offer me a job. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing here. There you go. Jesse Owens, 1972. So that's like 30 years after, or 40 years after almost. Dude was a stud for sure. There's Hitler at the Olympics right there. Just getting straight up embarrassed by Jesse Owens and the Americans. German terror shocks Americans. Wow. The Nazi Party's militia and Hitler youth destroyed hundreds of synagogues and thousands of Jewish-owned shops. Nazi police forces arrested nearly 30,000 Jewish men and sent them to concentration camps, where hundreds died in brutal mistreatment. Now, once again, I just can't read. This event became known as Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass. So terrible. So terrible. Look at this. Do you approve or disapprove of the Nazi treatment of Jews in Germany? A public opinion poll, November 1938. Disapprove 94%. Approve 6%. That's Americans. That's Americans' approval rating. Should we allow a larger number of Jewish exiles from Germany to come to the United States to live? No, 71%. Yes, 21%. No opinion, 8%. Jesus. That's pretty terrible, too. Some newspaper articles from that time. Oh, this is actually in Los Angeles. So background. Okay, so demonstrators in Los Angeles protest Germany's persecution of Jews in the aftermath of Kristallnacht, 1938. That's all right there in Los Angeles. Here's getting into some of the mass murders of the Jews. Journalists and American military police, on an inspection tour of the Buchenwald concentration camp, 1945. That's what that is right there. This is talking about American newspapers and magazines reporting on it. And even like I said earlier when I was at the cemetery, I was saying how I believe that the exhibit had a lot to do, or is focusing on the America's viewpoint on all of it. So I'm not surprised to see how this is focusing a lot on America's take on it all. Let's see here. Jews who hoped to flee Germany and Nazi occupation territories faced many obstacles. The Nazi regime initially pressured Jews to immigrate, but forced them to surrender most of their assets before leaving. At the same time, people who wanted to immigrate to the United States had to prove that they would not become an economic burden to the country. This usually required finding a U.S. sponsor, preferably a relative who would promise to take responsibility for the immigrants after they arrived. I'm sure that wasn't an easy task, huh? Here's Jews seeking paperwork required for immigration. They're lined up at the designated police station in Vienna. It says by 1939, more than 300,000 Germans, most of them Jews, were on the waiting list for U.S. immigration visas. Doesn't sound much different than what's going on today, huh? Trying to get over here. Makes you feel lucky to be born in America. Here's a visa application. I don't know if I've ever actually seen one. Wow. And the waiting list number. Inventory of household goods to be taxed. Jeez. It's taxing everything even back then, huh? Here's a passport. Ship ticket. Immigration visa. I don't know if I've ever actually seen one of those either. I actually have a passport myself from when I went to Canada. There's an affidavit of financial support from American sponsors. Certificate of good conduct from German police. I guess that's like when they get sent over here, they have like a reference, like a character reference. German immigration to the United States. Wow. And when Hitler becomes chancellor in 1933, there's only 1,000 or 1,200 immigrants, German immigrants to the United States. German invades Austria. It was up to 19,000. War begins in Europe. It was up to 27,000. The United States enters war. 1941, it was up to 16,000, or it dropped down to 16,000. So it looks like between when the war began in Europe over the next few years, it was at its highest. So as soon as they went in the war, they all wanted to get out, basically. That's such a shame. That's so terrible. In 1924, U.S. Congress capped the number of immigration visas that could be issued each year, parceling out by the total of immigrants' country of birth. Man, poor people, like they just want to get out of there, and it was hard. Had a really hard time getting into the United States. It wasn't easy. There's Eleanor Roosevelt. England, France, and the Scandinavian countries are taking their share of these children, and I think we should. So she was an advocate for the immigration of the Jews, or people coming over here. It has been proposed that the government permit 10,000 refugee children born from Germany to be brought into this country and taken taken care of in American homes. Do you favor this plan? Public opinion poll, January 1939. No, 66%. Yes, 26%. No opinion, 8%. There you go. Let's keep America for our boys and girls. Let's give American jobs to American citizens. Let's save America for Americans. A senator from North Carolina, 1939. What do you guys think about this? I know if you were living, or if that was going on today, or if you were alive back then, what would you feel about it? How would you be viewing all this, with all these people trying to come here for a better life? Do you agree with what that senator said? Or would you be more open to having them move here and get a better life here? I mean, America's founded on immigration, right? We're all immigrants except for the Native Americans, basically, so it's kind of contradicting if you think so, if you think about it. 1939, Gilbert Krauss, a lawyer in Philadelphia, offered to go to Nazi Germany to rescue 50 Jewish children at the request of a local Jewish organization. He and his wife, Eleanor, persuaded many friends to provide affidavits and financial support for the children and solicited cooperation from U.S. State Department officials in both Washington, D.C. and Berlin. They chose 50 children between the ages of 5 and 14. The 50 children arrived in New York on June 3rd, 1939, and were later reunited with relatives or placed with foster families. And the wife of the wife of the man who adopted these kids says it was as if we'd drawn up in a lifeboat in a most turbulent sea, and there were hundreds of people standing in line, and each parent seemed to say, "Here, yes, freely, gladly take my child to a safer shore." You can't blame them. It's pretty profound stuff, Definitely a take on all this that you don't hear of every day. There's Roosevelt right there. Do you think the United States should declare war on Germany and send our army and navy abroad to fight? I already knew this answer. No, 93%. Yes, 7%. It was definitely not a popular thing to do. Kind of like Vietnam. Almost the same thing. The Nazi masters of Germany have made it clear that they intend to enslave the whole of Europe and then to use the resources of Europe to dominate the rest of the world. We must be the great arsenal of democracy. President Roosevelt, December 29th, 1940. Some protesting right there. Wow. I'm glad I got to see this. So I don't know if any of you are really into this type of stuff, but there's some more polls. Should America go to war? Save our sons. No convoys. No war. No death for American boys. Join the America First Committee. Help us in our fight. Here's some propaganda for that. Always love these old propaganda pieces of art and such over the years back then. Love it. They just don't make them like this anymore. Anti-Nazi Semite stink wagon. It's smart to shop at Adolph's. All victories guaranteed. Charles Lindbergh. Here's Charles Lindbergh. You know his story. Some of you know his story. Charles Lindbergh accused Jews of being war agitators in a speech in Des Moines, Iowa, September 11th, 1941. 60 years to the date before 9/11. And here, there's Dr. Seuss. Wow. The Dr. Seuss. Look, he's drawing some Dr. Seuss looking stuff right there. He says he's a chief editorial cartoonist for PM newspaper in New York before he became known for writing children's books. Giselle's cartoons mocked Hitler and accused Charles Lindbergh and the America First Committee of spreading Nazi propaganda. Very interesting. Oh, and that's, okay, yeah. So that was, it looks like Dr. Seuss stuff, doesn't it? Now it all makes sense. That's some of Dr. Seuss's, the ones I was just showing you here, were all done by Dr. Seuss. It's such a household name when you think about it. You just don't think, when you say Dr. Seuss, you don't think about it. But I guess he was a PhD whose last name was Zeus, and he did propaganda. Or not just propaganda, but he worked in that field early in his career. There's an attack on the USS Shaw in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, December 7th, 1941. Wow. It's talking about, this is a few years later, into the war, where The attack on Pearl Harbor got America involved in the war officially. There's no turning back at that point. And here's talking about citizens or enemies. The United States entered World War II one day after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on December 7th, 1941. Hitler declared war on the United States on December 11th, 1941. Within hours of Japan's attack, the U.S. government began rounding up enemy aliens, including many people of Japanese ancestry who were suspected of spying for the enemy. 2 months later, President Roosevelt signed an executive order permitting the government to take every possible protection against espionage and against sabotage in the name of national security. For those of you who don't know, like a lot of Japanese Americans were basically sent to an American version of a concentration camp. But by no means was it, it wasn't like a Jewish concentration camp. They weren't abused and killed or anything like that. Just kind of just contained, almost like a containment camp, I guess you can call it, but for a long time. But back then, not everything was PC and all that back then. So they were definitely treated like traitors for sure for a while. That's a whole different story though. Here's some more propaganda. Did you know the U.S. government established the Office of War Information in 1942 to create and approve wartime propaganda, including radio broadcasts, films, and other media? That's interesting. Pretty vivid artwork though, huh? Dang. Mass murder confirmed. Oh, this is when they found the concentration camps, I guess. It says mass murder of Jews by German mobile killing squads began in the summer of 41 as part of Nazi Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union. In January 42, high-ranking Nazi officials secretly discussed their plan for what they called the final solution of the Jewish question. The effort to systematically annihilate Europe's Jews. 10 months later, news about the final solution reached the American public. It says, it is said that 2 million Jews have been killed in Europe since the war began. Do you think this is true or just a rumor? And 48% thought it was true, 28% thought it was a rumor, and no opinion was 24%. Wow. And this picture here is right outside the Waterbrook or Westerbork transit camp, where Dutch Jews were deported to killing centers in Nazi-occupied Poland in 1942. Jesus Christ! Some of these people had no idea what they were in for. Like, what was... Man, so terrible. Absolutely terrible. This is just a timeline kind of talking about as American institutions and government was finding out about about the discovery of these concentration camps, when they were learning about them. Hollywood calls for action. 2 million Jews have been mercilessly destroyed in Europe. 4 million surviving Jews are to be destroyed by Christmas. To utter these miserable words anywhere else in the world would be to cry for pity. To speak them here tonight is a summon to action. We will never die. Performance in Washington, D.C., April 12, 1943. Hollywood studios made many anti-Nazi films during the 1940s. Few focus on Nazism victims or even mention the murder of Europe's Jews. Seems like they'd be leaving a big part of it out of it, huh? This is just kind of Hollywood and the general public calling for action here. So it's like this picture right here is of a young refugee speaks with a group of American children through the fence surrounding the Fort Ontario Emergency Refugee Shelter, 1944. Look how skinny he was. And all these people were just so malnourished and just treated like animals. Let's see what this last wall has here. It says by D-Day, June 6, 1944, when Western Allied armies landed in Normandy, France, more than 5 million Jews already had been murdered by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. So this picture right here says General Dwight D. Eisenhower in uniform with hands on his hips. Right there. And other officials view bodies of prisoners at Ohrdruf, a subcamp of Buchenwald. In this picture here, it says American soldiers marched into Buchenwald April 11th, 1945. Wow. So I think that's it, guys. I think that's all of it. I'll show you guys a little bit about the back of the library here.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure with my having to be super quiet in there and talking with a very low monotone voice, it might have been kind of maybe something boring for some of you guys, but I hope it wasn't. I thought it was pretty interesting. You never really see that aspect of the war in Germany like that. You know, the Americans take on it like that. But anyway, overall, I hope you enjoyed the video. And such a beautiful day here today. It's got to be like, I'd say 77 degrees right now, and sunny. Just a beautiful day. Good day to be outside and out and about and doing stuff. Like I said, it is Veterans Day. I hope you enjoyed meeting my buddies, Joe and Jacob, who are resting in peace at the cemetery, and also the Medal of Honor winner. And then this little display at the university about the Nazism and all that stuff. But with that, on this Friday, November 11th, 2022, Veterans Day, I hope you guys take time to think and honor the veterans you know, or the veterans you know of, and the sacrifices they made, whether you know them or know of them, or if you just want to say a prayer and send good vibes and prayers to all the veterans out there, active duty and retired, and just, you know, veterans like myself who are, you know, we did it for a short time and now we don't. And so hope you guys have a great weekend, and stay tuned for the next one. And with that, I'll go ahead and sign off from beautiful University of Louisiana at Lafayette here, and I'll see you guys later. And until the next one, see y'all later, guys.